All right, we're continuing now. It's time to get to the more difficult ones. And I'm not quite sure, even as I'm recording this, what I want to do with this section because they're going to show you a way that I don't think is the best way to do it. So I'm going to mention it briefly, and I may skip ahead. I'm not sure. Let's dive in. We'll see what we do. But here's the problem. We're going to get some. Okay, well, first we've got a little bit of a review. So what they're getting at here is, well, they're hinting at something that's to come. But let's look at each of these and see what's the best way that we could use to factor what we've got so far. Do you see here when I look at this, I'm going to pull out a greatest common factor. So I'm going to start by pulling out a 6 out of here. Here, this is a trinomial like we did last time. So we're looking for the two numbers to make negative 24, add to get negative 10. And here, I've got 4 terms. So I'm going to do the GCF of the first two and the GCF of the back. Okay, so this is the same thing. You can pause if you like. It's literally giving you the same thing. I've got a GCF on this one. This is a trinomial. 2 numbers to make 21, add to get 10. This has got 4 terms. So I would do the first 2 and the back 2. Okay, same. They're just mixing up the order. I've got groups again. I'm going to do this one because there's a... Oh, no, it doesn't have the trick. Never mind. I've got grouping here. First 2, back 2. GCF out of here. I got a trinomial. All right, now this is what I thought we were starting with. What we want to do here is we now have something sitting in the front. What we liked is we had x squared plus something, and there was always a 1 sitting here. Well, if it doesn't have a 1 sitting in front, we got a problem. We got to address it. Now we're going to look at the easiest solution of this first, which is when you factor, you always start with the GCF. So that is always the first step. And we're going to pull out a GCF if we can, and then we'll just factor what's left over. The idea would be something like this. If I started factoring 28, I got 2 and 14. Well, that number is now finished, but the 14 could be factored further, and that's what we're going to see here. If I look at what I have, 2n squared, I've got a GCF. It's 2. Okay, so I'm going to pull out that 2. Now, the 2 is a factor, just like here. A 2 is a factor, but I'm not done. This can be factored further. And how? Well, it's a trinomial. We're going to play our little game. The 2 numbers are negative 7 and 3. Now, if you had factored 28, you'd have to tell me that your factors are 2 times 2 times 7. So if someone is going to miss this problem, what will happen is they pulled out the GCF and then they forgot about it. It is a factor, so it has to be part of your solution. Okay, now we have a GCF here. Pull it out and then factor. Okay, that's an M there, sorry. So we have pulled out a 4. That was our GCF. Now this is not done. It can be factored further. So I have a negative 2 over here. 2 numbers that make negative 2 and add to get negative 1. Well, it's going to have opposite signs to make a negative 2. Now I'm going to just do the same thing we were doing last time. There we go. Okay, try it on your own if you want. I've got a GCF of a 5. Now this isn't done. So I'm going to break it down. Don't forget the 5 has got to come down too. Okay, now I'm going to jump ahead because we've done so many of these, but do you see those would be my magic 2? Makes negative 10, adds to get negative 3. Okay. We are pulling out a 4 out of here. That's my GCF. Now, yeah, I didn't know if there's any other tricks. Nothing. I don't see anything. We're pulling out a 4. We've now got this guy to work with. Now 14 is a little more difficult, but there aren't that many combinations. They've found it for us here with -7 and -2. Notice they put their 4 as part of the answer. Okay, try this if you want. All right, so two numbers that add to get 2, or multiply to get 2 and add to get -3. Well, it's a +2, so it's going to have to be the same sign. And there's only one option, and that's right. Multiplies to get +2, adds to get -3. Don't forget to bring the GCF down for the ride. Okay, I can pull a 2 out of there. I hate it when they use t's because they look like pluses. Now, it's a +6, so I'm going to have 2 of this sign. I'm going to have to do 2 of the same sign. Now, 6, I remember this one. 6 is tricky because there's multiple ways to do it. It seems really tempting to go with 6 and -1, but that isn't right. Or -6 and +1. It's not right because to make a +6, I need 2 of the same sign. So I can't have +6 and -1. That's not the right choice. What I have to go with is this. They multiply to get the +6, add to get the -5. All right, now the only thing that's changed here is that our GCF includes a variable. It doesn't change anything. I'm going to pull out a 4u. Now, they probably already did this for me, didn't they? They pulled out my 4u. So now I'm left with this. This is still the GCF. It's going to come down to be part of the solution. It's okay. Whatever the GCF is, pull it out. Now we're just going to factor this. It's just one of the same things. There we go. Okay, pause if you want to try. My GCF now includes an x, but that's fine. Doesn't change anything. I'm going to bring him down. Solve it like normal. I've got a -4. So, you agree with that? Two numbers, they're going to have to be opposite signs. They add to get the +3. That's all my solution. Don't forget the 5x. Try another if you'd like. (6y) comes out. All right, what do we got here? -10. So two numbers to make -10, add to get 3. It's going to be +5 -2. All right, now here's where the really hard ones begin. And I guess the way this is broken down, the method that I am going to recommend that you use is in the next section. I really would never recommend someone do this trial and error. I'm going to take you through it quickly just because it's in here. Maybe you learned this in some other time in the past, and this is a refresher, or you like this choice. This will work, but I'm going to show you in the next section the other way is the way to go if you're new to this. However, I'll show you this. Now, when we're looking at this here, there is no GCF. So I see that I've got something in the front here, and I can't just pull it out with a GCF. So I'm left with something sitting in front of my trinomial. Now that's a problem, because what's going to happen is that I can't simply come down and do y and y. Like if you see where we're at this step here, I can't simply do y and y because when I FOIL it, I have to make the 3y² at the front. And so what happens is that you have to try the different options and go through all the combinations. If you're doing the trial and error method. Again, there's another method called the AC method, 1,000 times better, but I'm making the videos here, so I'll show you this one if you want to try it. So what I see here is that my two possible, the factors of 3 are 1 and 3. So I'm trying this with a 1 in the front and a 3 in the front. Okay? That's what they're doing right here. Now, let's go through all the combinations for the back end, 7. Well, we could make 1 and 7 or 7 and 1. That's all there is. So look what they've done here. They have literally now tested all the methods out to see what they create. So they've got the factors of the front end and the factors of the back end, and they're literally foiling them. It's not as bad as you think because you can just check the middles and the outside to see if it works. So they are literally, though, foiling this back out. This would make 3y in the middle and a 7y. That would add to a 10y in the middle. That won't work. So I'm going to check the middle and the outside on this one. I would get 21y there, and when I FOIL, I'd get 1y on there. Those are the two that are making the middle term when I FOIL. I add them up, I get the 22y. That's the one. Okay, again, now they're giving you some nice ones here to start with, but again, this is not the preferred method. If this makes no sense to you, we've got a much better way coming. What I'm doing is all the possible factors of the front end. They gave you an easy one, 2a and a. Okay? Now all the factors of the back end. So we've got 3 and 1. The problem is, and I know they're both going to be positive, the problem here is there's multiple ways we could have done it. It could have been this. And we're going to have to just trial and error to see if we got it. Check my middles, check my outside. This is going to get me 2a. This gets 3a. Actually, this is it already. 2a and 3a, there's my 5a. This is the right way to do it. If you try down here, you're going to get 1a and 6a. That's going to add up to 7. It won't work. So this is the one that works. Now what they're doing to us here is that there are more options for 4b. So I think I'm going to pause after just one or two more because this really is not the way to go. But if you look for the factors of 1, we got this. Now they were pretty merciful. It's the first one, but if I go here, I get 1b, I go there, I get 4b, that adds up to 5b. This is it right off the bat. But I could have had to try this one as well, because 4 can be factored into 2 and 2. So let me see. Do I have? Yeah. So what happens with this, why this method is horrible, is because you start to have a front term that has all kinds of choices. 6 can be 1 and 6 and 2 and 3, and then 5 is just the -1 and the -5, but maybe there's some choices on the back end as well. So you have to test everything out till you get the right way. Again, there's a better way coming. Now, let me see here. I'm just going to go through their choices here because I've got a much easier way than just guessing on all these. On this problem, what they're going to do is first they're going to pull out a GCF, and now they're left with this guy who they're going to do by the trial and error method. Look at all the possible ways this can be done. There's a lot. So this is, again, not the way to do it, but it can be done. Let me see here. Yeah, I'm not going to go through these because especially when you look at these larger numbers, you're going to pull a GCF out of this first, pull a 5n out of here. I think you can pull an 8q, but then you're left with all the combinations. So let's stop with the trial and error method and let's roll right into the AC method. So I'm going to stop this one without working more. The idea is pull out a GCF, then you have to play the game with all the possible factors of the front and all the possible factors of the back. But let's pause it and move on to the better option called the AC method.